Hi, I'm Alderwoman Sheila Finlayson, and welcome to our Annapolis. I'm excited today to have with us the leadership from the Samaritan House, Mr. Kirk Noonan, who is the president of the board, and Mr. Michael Goldfaden, who is the executive director. So we're going to learn a little bit about the Samaritan House. It's been in the city for quite some time, but I suspect most people are not aware of exactly what it is. So Mike, do you want to tell us what the Samaritan House is all about?
Sure. The Samaritan House is a Maryland state certified halfway house providing services, substance abuse treatment services to adult men. So we are a halfway house, but we are state certified, so we also add the component of professional treatment for our clients. So clients remain with us for anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and they receive professional treatment, which includes group therapy, individual therapy, case management. Also at the same time, it's a residential program. Clients have a structured environment, staffed 24 hours a day, fairly structured, but at the same time, being a halfway house, clients are transitioning back into the real world, so to speak, or back into society, and they're re-engaging with families, with employment, school, the list goes on and on. So we're there to teach them, not only to provide treatment to them, but also to teach them sort of the life and recovery skills in order for them to have a successful transition back into their lives.
Well, it sounds like a vital program and one that's very much needed. How did it get started?
Well, it actually was founded by two gentlemen that were in the recovery community in Annapolis in 1971. So it's been around for 44 years. Originally it was on West Street. They bought the property, and it started as what's more commonly known as a sober house, and then it was funded primarily through county and state funding. So they went for their state certification to get their clinical license, and that added the aspect that gave the county component that was able to have them medically certified for addiction services.
Mm-hmm. Mike, tell us about the facility. Where is it?
We are located at 2610 Greenbrier Lane in Annapolis. So we are very fortunate. We have 8 acres off of Greenbrier Lane. It's fairly secluded, back in a wooded lot, very peaceful. Clients love our facility. They love the grounds.
Yeah, so it's about a quarter mile off of Forest Drive, just behind the Safeway. Mm-hmm. So it actually allows our clients to have walking access both to the grocery store and bus transportation to city and to their jobs and other parts of the community, so they can move on to their lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many clients do you have now at the facility?
Well, we have the capacity for 16 clients at our primary location. We also have a transitional or recovery house. We own 2 houses on the property where we have 9 beds, so a total of 25. But our halfway house, we have 16 beds, so we provide services to 16 men.
I was there a few months ago, I think it was, for your open house, and was very much taken at the beauty and the serenity of your facility. Do you have problems with people coming and wanting to stay? How long do they stay? And
well, that's an interesting question. It's a good problem to have, but yes, people generally want to stay. Clients want to stay, and that's one of the reasons for our expansion efforts, which we'll talk about more. But and also, I think very importantly, that all the research shows that the longer clients remain in treatment, the more leads directly to successful outcomes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the huge benefits that we have, is to have that size and that type of property that has that environment. Yet most people haven't heard of us, and we're quite happy being somewhat of the quiet community service supplier, but we're known pretty well by reputation, which we enjoy from the community quite a bit.
Well, you know, my house backs up to Greenbrier, and I had no clue that you were there at all. So I think that speaks to the peacefulness, and you know, you guys are doing your work with your clients and not impacting the community in a negative way at all. So how do you fund such a program?
Well, the funding, it starts primarily with the county, so the Anne Arundel County has been funding the Samaritan House since its genesis. Currently, though, we get about 60% of our funding from the county through the Maryland through the health department. We probably get about 10 to 20% from the state. The state usually has various federal grants that they use to distribute to the various counties for addiction services. And then another 10 to 20% is through private grants or giving and fundraising and that kind of stuff.
So I was going to say fundraising efforts must be very important to your program.
They're becoming more, and part of that is primarily for the capital program. But we really historically have not done a lot of fundraising. So this is a very big learning experience for us at the Samaritan House to actually be public and be, you know, announcing what we do and looking for help. Because as mentioned, we've enjoyed, you know, 44 years of quiet community service, and we want to build on that.
Well, I think the need has become more recognized in the community. And the fact that we have such an important facility in our own community, I hope will encourage the community to want to support it. And later on, we'll be giving information on how to contribute for those who are listening who'd like to make a contribution to it. How do you get your clients?
Our clients are referred primarily through our county, the Anne Arundel County Department of Health, and through many different avenues, but clients are generally assessed by the county health department, and then referred to us through perhaps drug court, Anne Arundel County drug court, or other treatment programs in the area where they are receiving initial, oftentimes medical services, detoxification, for instance. And then they are directly referred to us from that agency. We also, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we get calls daily. We have a waiting list. You know, we average 3 calls a day from people hoping to gain admittance into the Samaritan House. So we get calls all the time, and they are generally referred to the county for an assessment and then hopefully admission, depending on circumstances.
If I can just add on that, because I don't think people really do understand the role of a halfway house. So we are not an inpatient 28-day program. So we do not have medical services. We do not add a lot of the hospitals maybe sometimes to detox or from a 28-day program. So the folks that come to our house and enter the halfway house program have been sober for at least a week or 2 and have been medically cleared to go through treatment.
So your house is kind of the intermediary between their detox and going back into their general home life and community life.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a bridge. We are a bridge, really. Yes.
How long do they usually stay? How long does that process take to get them ready to go back into the community?
Our clients generally stay with us 3 to 6 months, and then transition to our recovery house, which is on the same property next door, a little less intensive, a little less structured, where they can remain for an additional 6 months. So hopefully up to a year. We like to see our clients remain up to a year.
Yeah, and in fact, what's happened, we expanded that residential property. It was just 4 beds, and we expanded it to 8 plus a night manager. And we found people staying on the campus longer because it's a safe environment for them to work on their program. A client's ability to have a solid recovery program and be successfully sober doubles between 3 months and 9 months of an active program like that. So you're really building, just like going to the gym or on a diet or something, you're building that program. And what we found was that more and more clients did want to stay and have the additional transition housing. So that with the waiting list that we always have, we decided that, geez, it makes sense for us to expand our property so that when we have more beds, and 2, that we can add more of that transition time so people can have clinical services up to a year.
Well, the fact that you have a waiting list and that you get calls every day speaks to the community need, which I guess is what has motivated you to want to expand. Are you planning to expand on the existing property, or do you have other locations, or not?
No, we are hoping to expand on the current property. Absolutely. We're hoping to double in size. We're going to add 16 beds, and we're going to expand our services overall. Yes.
And what's your timeline?
We're looking at, I think Kirk maybe could speak a little more clearly about that, but.
Yeah, we've actually been developing the plan and the project for the last 3 years, so a lot of work's gone into it. We have our preliminary site plan. We also have approval for to break ground on our pavilion, which is kind of the shovel in the dirt, if you will, to start the program. So we expect to do that actually this year. We're in process of getting approval of the grading permit. So we look forward to having that in place with the county this year, which will allow us to do the grading, bring in the water, bring in the sewer, and then we start working on the kitchen and expanding the kitchen so that it can support the additional. We're hoping to be able to feed up to 41 people in the existing dining room, so that'll be exciting, and we'd like to actually build the house then the following year in the 2017-2018 timeframe.
So we see the need for your expansion. How has your program changed over the years? Clearly there's a greater need. What else is different as far as the requirements or as far as the patient needs is concerned?
I have been with the Samaritan House in some capacity for 24 years, and over the years I've seen the need that you talk about grow, and I've also seen some of the specifics change as far as client, as you mentioned, specific client needs. One of the most recent and most, as you mentioned earlier, it's been in the news, many people are aware of it, is the recent heroin epidemic. And I have seen that over the last several years, an increase in clients with heroin as their primary drug of choice.
So both the drug of choice and I think the demographics. I think it's surprising to see, we did a recent survey of clients that we had served in the last 2 years to kind of get an idea of what the demographic breakdown was. And the lion's share is between the age of 20 and 40. I mean, we have a lot of in the late 20s, early 30s. It's probably at least 50% or more of our client base.
Well, we know that heroin is at epidemic proportion here in the city as well as the county. Any ideas of what to do to stop it? And with your clients, once they move on from you, are there any safety nets for them? Do they learn lessons about how not to go backwards? How do we, from your perspective, how do we stem this?
Well, that's
probably the $64,000 question.
That is the $64,000 question, yes. With heroin specifically, and I wanted to go back and talk a little bit more about the prevalence of heroin. And within the Samaritan House, and I mentioned the waiting list, you mentioned the waiting list. Kirk mentioned the data that we ran last year on our clients, and it's running about 70 to 80% of our clients are heroin addicts.
Which if you go back 5 or 10 years, that was probably more like 20%.
So big increase, absolutely. And you mentioned what, how to best go about serving those needs or those clients. Hopefully, it starts with more treatment. I still think there's a lack of beds available for clients. Our waiting list sort of speaks to that. I know within the state there's been needs assessments, and there is a lack of treatment available for people. I think that's a huge factor. There are many different approaches to, especially opiate treatment, medication-assisted treatment, which I think is recently there's been an increase in medication-assisted treatment, which has been shown to be successful in many.
Like morphine treatment?
Methadone.
Methadone, not morphine.
Yes,
Methadone.
yes. Suboxone, yes, correct, yeah. That is one option. Our efforts to expand, on a smaller scale will make a difference,
Well, even if you are able to double in size, which I know you will be doing that, and we're so privileged to have you in our community, but the need is tremendous.
The need is tremendous. We talk about a lot about the problem. We talk about a lot about stopping it, and stopping it as far as from a supply side. What we try to do is be a leader in the solution side. So we're not a huge organization, but I think the success that we have in the hope that we represent as we have clients be successful and return to their families and return to contributing members of society shows that there are solutions and answers out there. And our goal is to engage the community to understand that it's not out there, it's the problem's here, and we're dealing with it, and there are solutions. It's affecting at least 1 in every 10 family in some form or another. So I think it's important for us to engage the issue, and it's important for us to understand there's solution, and it takes time, and it takes people dedicated to working with the folks.
And it takes resources.
That it does.
And it takes resources. Do you want to talk about your recidivism rate?
Sure. I think that's important. So that's an interesting question because with the HIPAA laws and everything, it's exceptionally difficult to track individuals, if you will, from a medical standpoint. So when people ask that question, the first way we answer that, and I'll throw this back over to Mike, is what is success as far as the county is, because the county funds us. So the county funds us for a certain period of time, and we have to have a certain success rate with that. And Mike, on that, I think you probably have the best handle on, what is that, 90 days, I think?
90 days retention, yes. Retention is important, and type of discharge.
What does that mean, retention?
Retention meaning how long clients remain in treatment.
Okay.
So we do keep statistics on that. The state keeps statistics on that. The state likes to see a certain period of time the clients are retained. It sort of speaks to what I was talking about earlier. The longer, clients are in treatment, the greater their chances of success. So they look at retention. Recidivism, you mentioned. We have, over the last 5 to 10 years, approximately a 60 to 65% success rate, meaning clients successfully complete treatment with us. And Kirk sort of mentioned the difficulty in sort of longitudinally, tracking clients is difficult. But as far as while they're with us and when they complete treatment, approximately 60 to 65% of them are successful.
So.
Did you ever see any repeat
Sure,
folks?
sure.
Sometimes it takes more than once.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, oh yeah, my nephew came through the Samaritan House twice. The first time he was with a good bunch of guys. He had some other difficulties outside, tough things going on in the family realm, and he ended up back at the Samaritan House and still keeps in touch with those guys and celebrated 3 years of sobriety last March. So, you know, it's a close to home situation. But so if you look statistically, and there's a fair amount of data on a broader view, basically the ability to achieve longer term sobriety doubles between 3 and 9 months, as I said before. So the expansion is really supporting the fact that we have clients that want to stay longer, have access to that clinical services, and get that base of recovery. So, you know, although we don't have the numbers specifically for it, we know that we're increasing the success rates by doing that. In parallel with that, we got our outpatient certification and intensive outpatient certification. So if alumni or other family members of our clients need support, we have clinical avenues and services that we can offer.
well, that was going to be my next question. Do they come back to visit, get, you know, a hug and a little pat on the back, or, you know, is there an opportunity for them to stay connected?
Oh, absolutely, yes. On a daily basis, we have clients, alumni members coming back and having dinner with us. Yeah, absolutely. We have an open house once a year, a party where 300 to 400 people show up.
Yeah, that's where my mind goes. We have the celebration in June, and we have in excess of 300 to 400 people, which is typically past clients, family members. It's a celebration of the success. And, you know, part of the vision of the expanding the campus and building a pavilion is to have smaller but more frequent community gatherings of folks that are celebrating recovery, so that community strength is broadened, and you know, it does nothing but spread the word as we're trying to.
Well, I think it was the June affair where I met you gentlemen, and thought the community needs to hear about the wonderful things that are going on. You've been great neighbors. As I said, my house backs up to Greenbrier. Didn't know you were there. And it's such a beautiful property, and, you know, it speaks to the caliber of the program in itself. If the community wants to support you, how do they go about it? How do they reach you? Do you have a phone number, email, a website? What would you like to share?
Well, you know, there's lots of different ways to support us. We've got a very active and engaged board. We currently have 11 members on the board. We have capacity to have up to 15, so I look forward to anybody who really wants to get involved on the ground level and at a critical stage in our project. I mean, you know, we've done the groundwork, and now it's time for the project and time to expand our efforts on the private side. So we could really use people with a passion about projects. We could use some people that have some financial background on the board. If they're into service, we have some committees that, you know, both on an outreach committee, we have a fundraising committee. You do not have to be a board member to be on the committees, just a passion to be engaged. And of course, I find that so rewarding that it's somewhat contagious. And then, yeah, we've been fortunate for how successful we've been. On the public side, we've gotten money from the state and we've got money from the county. Now we're looking forward to working with the city. You folks helped us with a grant. We really need to start our outreach to the private side and start getting, the public side has done well, and now we need to get the private side engaged as we start turning dirt and really start moving the project along. We have a web page, Mike, that's...
Yeah, our website is SamaritanHouseAnnapolis.com.
SamaritanHouseAnnapolis.com.
Yes.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter account. Our phone number, the office phone number is 410-269-5605.
269-5605?
5605, correct.
Okay, so to make donations, there's some people that you can do it right online, as we've all become accustomed to. My mother still writes checks, and I still get checks in the mail quite frequently. And we have people stop by the house and make donations. And we'll have some affairs this fall. Actually, we hope to have celebrate the opening of the pavilion, which is the start of the campus. So we'd look forward to people participating in that in any shape they'd like to. We expect to see you there.
Send me the invitation. I'll be there. This is so important to our community. I work with the public safety team in the city very closely, and we're always talking about the drug problems here in the city, and my family has experienced it. I have a brother who's an addict. He's a recovering addict, but once you're an addict, you're an addict. And so we all have experienced, most people, as you said, I think it's higher than or 10%, but we all have people in our lives who have experienced. And so this is such a wonderful opportunity in our community to help. So I appeal to the residents of Annapolis and outside. Please support the Samaritan House, because they are doing excellent work, and they are such a vital tool in helping all of our residents to be, good citizens and contributing citizens. And so we'll have the number rolling across at the bottom, as well as the website. And I think you said you have a Twitter account and a Facebook account, and friend them on both. So, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you. Something else?
Well, no, the only thing I'd like to offer is, what we'd like to do is have people involved and work with us to talk about the successes of recovery in the program, as opposed to talking about the problem. Because as long as we focus on the problem, that's what's going to be in everybody's mind, and we'd like to be part of the success.
Well, thank you.
And the joys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add before we?
No, I do want to add that. You mentioned earlier, you asked the question earlier, what can we do? And I think, just discussion of this topic, sitting here today with you, but in general in the community, I think, to destigmatize addiction, I think is crucial. And, one of the things that I've seen over the years is 24 years with the Samaritan House. And I still feel one thing that hasn't changed is addiction is still very stigmatized. And it's very unfortunate. And people have many myths. There are many myths about addictions and misunderstandings. And it's out there. And as you mentioned, I rarely see a family that isn't impacted some way by addiction. And I just wish we would talk about it in an honest, open way. And see things more from not only, as Kirk mentioned, a strengths perspective or a solution perspective, but also as addiction as a medical disorder, which it is, and therefore leading to proper treatment.
Well, with so many families being touched by it, you would think that it would be an easier discussion to have. And unfortunately, we're not there yet. But hopefully this program and others will help the community get to a point where it becomes an easier, more honest discussion.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah. So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, we just thank you and the City of Annapolis for inviting us here, and look forward to working with you.
Well, thank you both for being with us today and for all you're doing in our community. Truly appreciate it.
And we'll see you at the next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And this is Alderwoman Finlayson signing off. Bye.